My name is Graham Ross, and I'm going to be talking to you now about AI tools that, in fact, actually help resolve the disputes. I'm going to give you two examples, take you very quickly through them, but you'll see at the end the ability you will have to experience using these tools yourself in your own time afterwards. Okay, now, AI tools. You probably think you know what I mean by AI, but actually, I suggest you may not, because I'm not talking about artificial intelligence, but about something slightly different called augmented intelligence. And here's the difference. Artificial intelligence is essentially in control. It provides the answers and the information and will undertake certain steps. Augmented, however, keeps the human very much in control, but adds to the power of the human to do his work better. And that's where I see the future of AI in ODR. Now here, the two systems are going to be showing you on the left-hand side an anonymous negotiation system. That's a system which allows the parties to put forward, or for offers to be put forward, but the other side doesn't know the identity of the offeror, and therefore is able to look at the offers in a entirely objective way. And the other one is a blind negotiation system. It's actually a visual blind bidding system. Under that, the offeror is known, but not the offer. This may seem a little bit odd, but hopefully you'll understand when I show you these two systems provided by Smartsettle. First, anonymous negotiation. This is under the system called Smartsettle Infinity, which I'll show you shortly. But the exciting thing about this is that the claimant here can receive offers, but she will not know whether this offer has come from the defendant, or maybe the mediator, if one is used in the case, or, this is a really interesting point, whether the offer has actually been created by the machine. I'll explain how the machine is able to do that. So here's Smartsettle Infinity, which provides that form of negotiation. In the top left-hand area of the screen, this is where various packages of proposals are put together by moving the coloured flags. Now, this system is excellent for multi-issue, more complicated disputes where there are a number of issues to negotiate in a package, or also multiple defendants. There's no limit to the number of parties, rather, that can be used here. What we're looking at is an example of Infinity used in an employment dismissal case, where it's a question of agreeing the amount of compensation and other matters. So the first top line is dealing with what's called the basic award, a statutory basic award. This is under English law, and that's not really open to much negotiation. Underneath that is the compensation award, which is the main part of the award, and here you'll see under the green flag there's a claim for £9,579 and about £1,000 more under the orange package. Next, there's a question of the reference. Would the employer give a positive reference to this person to make it easier for him to get a good job afterwards, or maybe none? Or in this case, maybe under the orange package, a neutral one. And also, there may be an agreement of employment which says that when people leave, they have to be barred out for working in the same industry for a number of months or years. This was an unfair dismissal, so it would be fair to negotiate on this, and maybe, and you see in this settlement that takes place, it was agreed that there will be no bar out. In the top right are proposals are listed, proposals for settlement. It says here that have been published. What that actually means is they're not been published, but they've been shown to the other side. What we're looking at is the case as looked at by the employee. and here we have those that are published. Underneath here is where you can put together packages prior to sharing them with the other side. Now, you see all these little coloured boxes relating. Every time, by the way, you tick on the box to the left of the coloured boxes, the package or proposal will show up in the top left. But here we have some numbers, and these are scores which have been created by the machine through what it's learned of the knowledge of preferences of the parties, so that what hasn't been shown yet because there's no time, but when this is set up, the parties or their negotiating advisors or mediators can in fact inform the system how important each of these 4 issues are to that party and in a comparative way to others. And the machine then gives it a score that helps the parties to see which of the packages more in their interest than perhaps others. Now here we have a number of proposals, of which against it is the word suggestion. And these are the ones where who is making the suggestion is not known. And I've said before, it could be one that's been put together by the other party, or either party, or it could be one put together by a mediator, or it could be one put forward by the machine. And that's by a combination of what it knows about the preferences of each of the parties as has been entered into the system in each of these issues, but also in the way that the parties put together packages they would like to offer. When both packages are in fact clicked to be accepted, then a baseline agreement has been formed. So a number of packages are put forward. When the same one has been accepted by both parties, and again, as I say, they don't know who's put that forward, it may be the machine, a baseline agreement is declared. As we see, that's happened in package 6. But the system doesn't just stop at there. It then, because of what it knows about the interests of the parties, it then tries to see if there is any value left on the table. And in this particular one, the employer is prepared to take a little less. See the green one, which is package 7, which is an improvement, £1,000 less for compensation, but in return he's getting a positive reference and no bar out year. So that must be worth a lot more for him financially. And because the system knew that the employer wasn't particularly bothered about giving a positive reference and having a bar out, it was felt that was therefore an improvement, and that is the agreement that both parties then selected in this particular case. And there's the improvement. So now, I'll now go on to the second system, which is a form of visual blind bidding called Smartsettle ONE. Here we see what the parties actually see, apart from the lines and the explanations. You see here 2 sides, an upper and a lower. Here is the insurance company, the defendant, and he is sliding these flags along. In the upper part, where he slides it, is to an offer. He starts at 49,000 against a claim of 65,000, and he's increased his offer to 50,000 here. But the lower section, where there's a yellow flag, wherever he moves that, and he's moved that to, in fact, 53,000, but that's a secret offer. That's blind. Tom here, the other person, the claimant, sees the blue area at the top, but doesn't see that there's been an offer, in fact, of 53. He, in turn, has made an open offer here at the top and a secret offer, which we've shown just here in grey. In fact, the parties don't see that of the other side, but it's there so we can see it here. And you see that he has secretly been prepared to reduce his claim from 65,000 to 63. There's still a gap of some 10,000 there between the secret offers. So there's no agreement in this first session, and they move on to a second session. And you see now the parties are making further movements. And Insurco is making the defendant a very large movement, as he wants to get this settled, up to $59,000, and the claimant Tom has increased to 60, or rather, it's gone down to 62,000. So actually, there's a gap of only 3,000 here. They are very close. Let's go into the final session. Here, the insurance company, the defendant, declares this to be the final session, as they're entitled to do, and this means each side, if they want to come to arrangement, are going to have to go to their bottom lines pretty quickly. And this is what happened, that the insurance company here has gone up to 61,000, whereas the claimant has said he's prepared to go down to 58. So there is an overlap of 3,000. That means anywhere in this overlap would be a figure that both sides are prepared to find acceptable. And the system has decided to settle this case at 59,000. Now, you may say, how did it figure on 59,000 when in fact, why doesn't it just split it down the middle to 59,500? Well, that would reward the party that holds back. It would also indicate what the secret bid of the other side is, because they just have to double the gap between his secret bid and the settlement. Smartsettle ONE wants to encourage people to really work hard at trying early to put bids in, and so it has an algorithm called reward early effort, and it does just that. And it looks at which party has made the smaller last move, because if you make the smaller last move into the zone of potential agreement, the overlap of offers, then you must have been making a much larger movement earlier than that. And you see, Insurco's last move was 2,000, Tom's was 3,000. So Insurco, instead of this being settled at 59.5, the midpoint of the overlap, it settles at 59. So saving the insurance company £500, and as an incentive for them having tried harder to settle this case. Now, when everybody, you may be asking, well, what happens if the parties don't actually reach that overlap? And here's where the automatic deal closer comes into effect. Every time you make an offer, a little pop-up comes on screen and gives an opportunity for the party making the secret offer to go a little bit further, tiny bit further, if and only if that will put them within the range of a settlement. And here there's been the party is prepared to go up another 2,000. That has meant that this gap can be breached. And this is another case with different figures, but here you've seen it breach at 61 because, again, the reward early effort algorithm came into play. So, takeaways from what you've seen of Smartsettle ONE. It's there for resolving the single issue, numerical issues such as the amount of money, rather than multiple issues that you saw in Smartsettle Infinity. It enables not just open but secret offers. It's always important to know that that whenever it identifies a settlement and declares a settlement, it's always at a figure that's within the range that both parties have indicated to the system they would find acceptable. There's no need to stay with a final offer. Now, this is really part which I find really interesting, and certainly adds and augments the work of the human mediator or negotiator, as you would nearly do. So, take, for example, an insurance company wanting to settle a claim. It would make sense for an insurance company to put in a very high opening bid, because if it settles at that point, the legal costs that he may otherwise be liable for, their own legal costs or the costs of the other side, if they're ordered to pay them, would be very little, if any at all. That would make more sense and be less costly than fighting this case out over several months or even years, maybe settling at a much lower figure, but finding when you add on a huge amount of legal costs, it's going to be far more expensive than settling early at a high figure. But of course, defendants don't openly offer high figures at the beginning, because they know if it's not accepted, they're never going to be able to reach an agreement at a figure lower than that. That will be seen as their starting point, and the other side claimant will assume they'll be able to persuade them to pay even more. However, once in fact you have a system like Smartsettle ONE, where your bids are not, if not settled, your bids anyway, are not seen by the other party, then in fact you have that opportunity to go in high early, knowing that if it doesn't settle, you can withdraw and reduce your offer in the next round. No harm done to your negotiating stance. So it avoids the delays in the negotiating dance. And I should add, this little thing at the end is very important. There's absolutely no fee required to use Smartsettle ONE, except when there is a settlement. So there's really no barriers to using it. So there's a quick review of those two systems of augmented intelligence that will really make the work of the negotiator and the mediator much more productive than might otherwise been the case. I've been running for some 15 years a training course in online dispute resolution. It's extremely comprehensive. The amount of it, the element of it which just deals with tips on using Zoom is about 1%. It's a very comprehensive course on ODR. And you can look at that course and all the material at ODRtraining.com. If you want to practice free of charge with Smartsettle ONE, either against a robot or against a colleague, just write to me at gr@smartsettle.com and I'll set that up for each of you. Now, getting back to the training course, I'm offering a whopping 50% discount off the foundation course fee for all delegates at ODR Expo. It's only available up until the 15th of May. If you write to me before the 15th of May to g.ross@odrtraining.com, I'll forward you a coupon code, which when you enter it, you'll get a 50% deduction. Thank you very much for listening to this talk on AI and dispute resolution.